My name is Chip. I am the 386SX machine.
Welcome again to PC Voyage. I'm Rainey Laviolette.
And I'm Robin Belleville.
Isn't it nice to see that Chip has finally been put in his place?
Now maybe things will get back to normal, right, Chip?
I think he's at a loss for words. I don't know. Maybe we'll hear from Chip later on. On this week's program, we have Bob Clements with PC Voyage News, Jim Dilks with Bits and PCs, and back from his short captivity is Tim Hamlet with questions and answers.
Every week on this program, you hear about the Prodigy system following the PC Voyage News. For those of you unfamiliar with Prodigy, we have Liz Price from Prodigy Services Company. Hello, Liz.
Hi, Robin.
Let's start from the beginning. What is Prodigy?
Prodigy is an interactive personal service. It's an online service that you subscribe to. You need to have, of course, a computer and a modem in order to subscribe to Prodigy, and a phone line.
Why would somebody use Prodigy?
Prodigy is a way of utilizing your computer every day. It is a way of obtaining information on demand when you want it, information like news and weather and sports. You can also communicate with Prodigy through electronic mail or bulletin boards, and you can also do transactions, buy and sell stock, make airline reservations, send flowers, that sort of thing.
Can I even talk to my cousin in California?
Absolutely. If he's a Prodigy member, you most certainly can.
How many subscribers are there to the Prodigy system?
There's over 1.6 million subscribers at present.
Wow.
And are we connected to Prodigy?
Yes, we are. I guess Chip is connected to Prodigy. This is what you see when you first sign on the Prodigy service. This is the highlight screen. It's not really a main menu. It's more of a, think of it as the front page of a newspaper. Typically, number 1 and number 2 are going to be your headline news stories. There are many different types of news. There's headline news and business news and people news and science news. But let's just take a look at the headline news. It's flashing on number 1, so just hit enter, and it takes you right into the headline news. The news comes to us from Associated Press and United Press International. All the major newswire services come into our newsroom. We have reporters and editors that work round the clock that put the news out on Prodigy. As you can see, the top news story right now is Bush releases plan to save the cities. If you want to read that story, it's flashing on 1. You just simply hit enter, and it takes you into that news story. The way you really get around Prodigy is through this command bar at the bottom. Next, it means the next page. You simply hit enter, it takes you to the next page. Back means the page before. Menu means that headline news menu we just looked at. But really the way you get around Prodigy is through jump. You hit J for jump, or you can use the tab key or arrow key or the mouse if you have it, or you can hit the function key F6 and you get a jump window. At that point you type in whatever it is that you want to see and hit enter, and it takes you to that part of the service. But for expediency's sake, what I'm going to do is use my path right now. The way I make my steps along the path is simply hitting the function key F4. We have a thing called path, and the reason for it is the people, when they sign on to Prodigy, typically they want to see certain features on the service in a certain order. For example, they want to see the news, and then the weather, then the sports, check the horoscope, check the stock market or whatever, and see it in a particular order. So instead of having to get the jump window every time, we simply set it up so that they can have a path, and all they have to do is hit the function key F4, and it takes them to the next step along their path. What we're looking at right now is the national weather map. It looks very similar to the national weather map you see on the news at night. You see, of course, the picture of the United States with all the different icons indicating where there's showers and sun. As you can tell, it's showery in New England. That's no news around here. If you want to get a little bit more specific, you can get the specific weather for any city, any major city in the United States and foreign cities as well. I put in the Springfield, Massachusetts forecast. It gives you the current conditions, which is 73 degrees, mostly clear. It gives you the sunrise, sunset, winds, direction, the humidity, the air quality. Tuesday night, mostly cloudy, low 51. And then it'll go into tomorrow, Wednesday. It's going to be periods of clouds and sunshine, high 72, low 53, and then Thursday, periods of clouds and sunshine. So if you're interested in finding out what the weather's like in Miami or Tokyo, you can do that also. The next stop along here is the sports area of Prodigy. If you're a sports enthusiast, the sports feature is just fantastic. Sports scores as the games are in progress. We have experts that write columns. Dick Schaap writes a daily column for us. We've got many bulletin boards, baseball talk, sports news, and one of our custom choices on Prodigy, which is called Baseball Manager. We have 2 custom choices, and I'll show you the second one shortly. Baseball Manager is a fantasy baseball game. It's a rotisserie game. People get addicted to this. They absolutely love it. They make you you become a baseball manager. You draft members from real major league players, and you play, and it uses real box scores every night. It's a lot of fun. The next thing we're going to look at is the business news. Again, as I explained, there was headline news, business news, people news. You can check out and see what's going on in the world of business. You just read any one of these stories. Say you see something that looks pretty good and you want to check out and see what the stock market's doing. You just ask for the market update. This information comes to us from the Dow Jones News Retrieval Service and Reuters. As you can see, it shows us the Dow Jones Industrials, which is, it happened to close today, down 12.40. But in addition to all the transportation, utilities, composite, et cetera, and of course the New York Stock Exchange, Amex, NASDAQ, and S&P 500, it gives you a bar chart of the progress of the market throughout the day. A lot of people like this because they want to know more than just what the close was. They want to know what happened, the progress. And you can see at 10, at noon, and 2 and at 4 immediately it's evident what happened to the market. It looked like at noon it just went up a little tiny blip there. We're going to go into quote check right now, and I'm just going to look up and see what IBM stock is selling for right now. Of course, IBM stock symbol is a very easy one to remember, but if you don't know the stock symbol, you just put in the company name and it will come up with the closest match for you. Robin and I did that earlier. She wanted to see a quote check on digital equipment, and we looked up the stock symbol on that. IBM is at 93.5. It closed down 3/8 for the day. This will also track a portfolio for you of up to 30 issues, so you don't have to put in the stock symbol every time. It'll bring up the whole portfolio for you. The next thing we're looking at is the strategic investor. This is the other custom choice I mentioned before. Strategic investor is an extremely comprehensive financial database of information on stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. You can search by certain investment objectives, for example, by industry, price-earnings ratio, that sort of parameters, and it will search through the database and find the closest match for you. I'd love to go into all these, but we're limited on time, so I'm going to whip right through here. Then if you see something that looks good, a good investment, you go over to your discount brokerage firm, which is Personal Control Financial Network, and place a trade right online. They're an excellent brokerage firm. You can trade yourself. This is for people who like to be in control of their investing. And then when the bill comes up, you can pay it right on Bill Pay USA. This is another feature on Prodigy, which is terrific. It is, again, a flat fee of an additional is $10 a month for Bill Pay USA, and you get up to 30 checks, and you can write it to any particular vendor. You can set it up so it's a regular monthly payment, like your mortgage or your car payment. That's the same amount every month. You can set it up for up to a year in advance. The next thing we're looking at is the Academic American Encyclopedia. This is one of our most popular features on Prodigy. If you were to go out and purchase an encyclopedia in hard copy, typically it'll cost between $700 and $800. It comes as part of Prodigy. You don't pay extra for this. But the best thing about it is that it's updated every 90 days, every 3 months, so the information is always current. You can research and do research on Kuwait, on the invasion of Kuwait and what happened in the Persian Gulf. So there's always current information in the encyclopedia. Next is the Consumer Reports. Again, you can research all the back articles, the archived information. The politics section is a real favorite right now. You can find out all about those bounce checks or, of course, top news stories. Right now, we've got Clinton names team to find vice president. Also, you can get into the political profile, which is absolutely fantastic. It's a very in-depth.
What are the benefits, other than what you've mentioned here, are there available to Prodigy subscribers?
Prodigy saves time, it saves money, it's entertaining, it's informative, it's enjoyable to use, it's compelling, people get addicted to it actually, but probably one of the biggest selling features of Prodigy is that it's a flat monthly fee, and it doesn't matter how much you use it or how much you're online. The fee for Prodigy is $12.95 a month if you purchase it on a month-to-month basis. We also have two different subscription offers. We've got a 6-month subscription, which is the equivalent to $10.95 a month, and a 1-year subscription, which is the equivalent to $9.95 a month. Every membership comes with 6 different IDs and passwords, and you pay per household and not per person, which is another big advantage. And every membership is entitled to 30 private email messages a month. After that, you're charged 25 cents per message.
Do you need special software to use Prodigy?
Yes, you need to have the Prodigy Startup Kit. Inside the Startup Kit that you would purchase in retail stores are both size discs, both the 3.5 and 5.25 inch discs, and your handbook, and of course your ID and password. You can take this software and you can install it on as many computers as you wish, any PC that has a modem, because the keys to get into the service are the ID and passwords. That's really the most important part, and that's what you pay for.
And Liz, how can our viewers get their own Prodigy startup kits?
Well, as I said before, Prodigy comes included with a lot of computers that you can purchase. It also comes included with modems that you can purchase. You can also buy the startup kit in retail stores, but for people who watch PC Voyage, I have some complimentary startup kits that I would be more than happy to send to anyone who would give me a call. I have a number that they can call, and if they call and leave a message on the machine with their name and address, and they need to indicate if they want a DOS or a Mac version, the number is area code 203-633-3070, and I'd be happy to send that kit out to them.
Thanks, Liz.
You're welcome.
Boy, wasn't that compelling? You probably run out right now and buy Prodigy.
It really looked good.
Good. After Chip brings us this week's trivia question, Bob Clements will be here with PC Voyage News.
Here are this week's computer trivia questions. Number 1. What does WYSIWYG stand for? And number 2. What kind of memory uses a page frame?
As anybody can tell, this isn't Robin. Robin was much better looking, but we got you.
You're useless, you know that?
We had said that, or I had said, you weren't even here yet, that Bob Clements was going to be doing the PC Voyage News. He's hot on a late breaking story, so he'll be here following Jim Dilks with Bits and PCs. Hi, Jim.
Hi, good evening, Andy and Rennie. This evening I'm going to be discussing a couple of commands here. We're going to start off with a command called copycon that you can use as a sort of as an inexpensive word processor. How it works is once you type the command in, copycon, and you have to put the name of the file in, and in this one we're going to be generating a config.sys file. And when you hit the return, the machine returns with just the cursor on the screen. And what that's doing is it's waiting for you to type in the command you want to type in. And the reason I started with copycon is we're also going to be discussing the RAM drive command this evening. This is a device driver that that's used for setting up a RAM drive or a virtual memory drive. It's set up in the memory of the machine. The first address up here on the screen, the 64, is the size of the drive. The second address on the screen is the size of the sectors that are going to be in the drive. And the third part of the drive here is the amount of directories in the drive. After we hit return, what you have to do is to end this, you use a control Z, and it ends this, and it will come back and it will tell you that one file is now being copied to the root directory. And that's it.
Well, thanks, Jim. Have you used the Prodigy system before? You missed a great talk, and Robin did a great job talking about the Prodigy system.
Yes, I do use Prodigy. Yes.
You do?
Yes.
Oh, good. We need to get you a clock so you get here a little bit more on time.
Well, Rainey, you know, Robin may be better looking, so in that case, why don't we replace Rainey with Robin? After Chip brings us our trivia answer, Tim Hamlet will be on hand with question and answer.
Here are this week's computer trivia answers. Number 1. WYSIWYG stands for what you see, baby, is what you get. And number 2. Expanded memory uses a page frame.
Hello, welcome back. You know, Tim looked kind of battered when he got in here. He really looks a lot better now. He looked real bad.
Well, yeah, I guess he does, doesn't he? And now here's Tim Hamlet with questions and answers. Nice to see you back, Tim.
Oh, well, thanks, Rainey and Andy. I'm telling you, it was a hair-raising experience, especially, you know, for having to sit there for 20 hours a day, having to play bad shareware games and listen to Jim talk about DOS. Well, now that that's over and I'm back, let's move on to this week's questions.
Thank you.
Okay, the first question tonight comes from Tom Sullivan of Chicopee, and Tom asks, how can I add a second parallel port to my machine when there's only one output jack on the input-output card? Well, Tom, you can do this in one of two ways, depending on how your input-output card is set up. If the card has a jack for another cable near the one where your existing parallel port is connected, then what you need to do is go to your favorite store and get another parallel port plug to add onto the back of your machine. It looks just like the one that's on the back of your machine now. But before you go back to the store and get that, you need to check and see if there's any open chip slots in the card. If there is, you might have to pick up a couple of chips to put in there before the parallel port will work. Your dealer can tell you which ones you'll need for your particular card. And the only other way I know of doing it is to purchase a separate I/O card that will install into your machine, input-output card, that is. The next question comes from Lisa Howard of Agawam, and Lisa's question is, when she types, she finds that her computer can't keep up with her typing speed, and she wants to know if there's any way she can make her buffers bigger. Actually, Lisa, there is a way you can do this. WordPerfect Corporation put out a program a little while back called Repeat Performance that will increase the keyboard buffer, but I talked with them and they no longer make that particular product. It seems it didn't work with all the applications that were out there available. There is a shareware program called CED that will increase the keyboard buffer, and though I've never used it, my source tells me it's very good and has had no problems using it with any applications. So check your shareware listings and BBSs for that one. The last thing tonight I'm going to talk about is batch files. And what is a batch file? That's a question I hear very often, and it seems a lot of people, even ones well-versed in using computers, don't really know what a batch file is and how they can be used and actually how powerful they are. A batch file is nothing more than a group of DOS commands written into a text file with an extension of BAT. They can be created using any text editor, like the one that comes with DOS 5.0, edit.com. Batch files can do anything from simple things like running a program, formatting disks, and copying files, to complex things like running menu systems. Here's a batch file that our producer, Keith Davis, wrote. It's called PRP, and what it does is that it creates hotkeys on your keyboard and that you can assign different functions to. What we're going to do right now is I'm going to create a hotkey so that you can see it on the screen easier. I'm going to put the screen in 40-column mode. So what I'm going to do is type in PRP E number 63. The file I'm going to show you tonight is called PRP. And what it does is it sets hotkeys on your keyboard. Now, this right here is a list of all the keys on the keyboard and the numbers that correspond with them that DOS uses to interpret them. Now, this printing is kind of small, so we're going to make a hotkey to make it into a 40-column mode text. So what I'm going to do is type in PRP space E 63, put in the mode command, and 40. Okay, now key number 63, which happens to be F5, is going to put the computer in a 40-column mode. So when I press that, now we have it in 40-column mode, and we can see that. Okay, we're going to do another one here. We're going to do PRP E, key 62, which happens to be the F4 key, and we're going to make it bring up a directory, and we're going to pause it. Okay, so now when we hit the F4 key, you can see that it will bring up the directory, and then you just go through it just like a normal directory, hit the Enter key to continue on. Okay, and then the function now, we're going to reset all the keys back to what they originally were. PRP R for reset, 62, 63, which is the two keys that we've already set, and Enter. And now all the keys will be back to their normal function. Well, that's all we have tonight for you guys.
If anybody's interested in this program, where do they find it?
It's on a couple of bulletin boards that I've seen, and you can also get in touch with the show here, and Keith, I'm sure, will be able to come up with a copy of it.
Thanks, Tim.
That's good. That's very good. Remember, we'll be giving away this copy of X-Tree Gold if you mail in your questions for Tim. The questions don't have to be used on the air, so even if you don't get them answered, mail it in. It's worth it.
You know, Keith gave me a copy of PC Tools tonight that we're also going to use as part of the Get Your Questions to Tim, and also one of the Prodigy kits that Liz talked about earlier. So, I mean, with all this, people should be just sending in gobs and gobs.
It's getting bigger and bigger.
I know. Hey, wait a few more weeks, and you never know what we're going to throw in.
And so you'll know where to send those questions, here's Chip with PC Voyage address.
If you have any questions for him, or if you have any comments about the show, please write to us. Our address is PC Voyage, P.O. Box 6295, Holyoke, Massachusetts, 01041.
Welcome back. Hey, did you notice that when Chip gave us the trivia answer, he did a little Pepsi commercial in there? Did you notice a little uh-huh that he threw in there?
I did notice a little stutter. Nothing big, though. Nothing big. Bob Clemens is on hand with his his golf scores, his late-breaking news. How you doing, Bob?
Pretty good, Andy, Randy. Hang on to your 3.5-inch high-density floppy disks. There's a recent shortage. The release of OS/2 and Windows 3 bundled with many of the hardware packages has caused a shortage in high-density 3.5-inch disks. OS/2 2.0 uses 22 disks, and Windows 3.1 requires 7 floppies. DOS, by comparison, needs only 3 disks. Microchip may have met its last frontier, garbage. The Dutch town of Hoofddorp recently gave some of its residents microprocessor-equipped garbage cans that track the number of times the receptacle is emptied. During a recent 23-week test period, citizens whose cans were emptied less than twice a month qualified for a bonus of about $16. Town spokeswoman Inga Pasteur says the project generated a 12.7% drop in weekly household garbage output. Hoofddorp is now deciding whether to give all of its residents smart garbage cans, says Pasteur. Dozens of PC makers have unveiled multimedia systems over the past several months. But what about all those PCs that are already on users' desktops? The Acer Group plans to reach this untapped market with a new peripheral that adds multimedia functions to existing computers. The Acroslide X10 is an expansion box that allows users to easily outfit their existing systems with full multimedia capabilities, including CD-ROM and high-quality graphics support. In addition to its built-in CD-ROM and graphics functions, the Acroslide X10 expansion box also provides a sound card, an internal speaker, upfront microphone, and headphone jacks. A pair of extra 16-bit expansion slots support future upgrades, such as advanced data compression and video cards. The unit connects to its host PC through a single proprietary cable plus a 16-bit interface card. The device doesn't require complicated system upgrades or peripheral hookups, making it readily accessible to both technical and non-technical users. It will come bundled with a wide range of multimedia software, and the unit will be supported by a standard 1-year on-site warranty. With Acroslide X10, users can easily take advantage of multimedia capabilities as they require them. They can start with the basic functions of the expansion box and then expand as their needs for multimedia grows. The company hasn't yet announced a release date or a price for the device. Portions of PC Voyage News, courtesy of Prodigy.
You know what, that last system that Bob just mentioned, the next thing you're going to need is your pilot's license to run the whole thing.
Pilot's license? I think you're going to need a doctorate's degree.
Just remember that when Liz was here earlier, she said that you could get free Prodigy kits if you called. The number is 203-633-3070. Leave your name, address, and phone number, and she'll be more than happy to make sure that you get a copy of the Prodigy kit for your very own. Remember, though, you need to have a modem.
It's well worth it. Definitely well worth it. And for PC Voyage, I'm Andrew Doty.
And I'm Rainey Laviolette. See you next week.